multitasking episodes. So as you come in, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe if you haven't subscribed to me before, and also make sure that you um, hit the notification bell, because then that way when I do things live like this with absolutely no notice, you'll hopefully be notified about it, hence, the notification bell. So, in any case, I've got this titled Politics, Prepping, and Fulfilling Orders. So, the last time I was in this background here, I was gluing the bottoms of all my orders that I had received up until that point, and these are some that I still have yet to do. Next up on these that are behind me are I have acetone to try and get that cleaned up a little bit, and then I gotta sand the edges so then the lid can go on there a little more cleanly. Otherwise, it's like it's really tight fit, so it's kind of hard to get on there if you don't bevel those edges. But what I'm working on today is putting my gaskets on. I put the handles on last night, and one of the things that takes up a lot of time is that these handles that I get, the screws, it comes with two lengths of screws. And both sets of screws are too long to be put in here because it's designed to go through like a cabinet door, not something that's only about 1/8 of an inch thick. So I've got to cut all those screws so that they will go in here all right. So my next step is to put these gaskets on and to make the little hole here so that that'll go through. But I forgot my knife. Let me get my knife. I know if anybody has watched Crocodile Dundee, be like, you call that a knife? Yeah, not a knife. But it gets the job done. All right, so that's the fulfilling orders part of what I'm going to be doing here for as long as I can think of something to say. YouTube is kind of like my side hustle. This is kind of like my main deal. This is where I'm getting most of my share of the family income, is doing signs and now doing these vacuum sealers. And though I really have to attribute this to a large extent to YouTube, because if it weren't for YouTube, I wouldn't have all these orders. All these orders that I'm working on right now are directly attributable to the fact that I took a chance and went outside my comfort zone and started a YouTube channel. So if you've got some other sort of side hustle, or your part-time job or your full-time job, selling on eBay or Etsy, or you have a service that you provide in your hometown or whatever, even if it's not something that you can necessarily take national, like being able to ship these is really cool. You can use YouTube as a way to increase your income in those other streams, and you can start doing that before you even can be monetized on YouTube, because it does take a long time to get monetized. I had started in July, and I didn't get monetized until April, and even so, after about a month, to tell you the truth, it's only been about $45. So it's not a lot. I'm seeing some questions in there. I apologize that I may not get them all, because I am trying to pay attention to what I'm doing here as well. But the question was, what am I selling? Well, these are vacuum chambers that help in the prepping community to allow your dehydrated goods to last that much longer without having to pay for oxygen absorbers. Oxygen absorbers really kind of do the same sort of thing, where it will create a vacuum and help your food from going stale. But this way, you don't need to pay for those oxygen absorbers. I really don't know why that thing just doesn't recognize that I'm here, but I have a problem with forgetting to turn out lights. So I had my husband, and so we go to bed and then look out the window and notice, oh, the lights are on in the workshop again. So my husband installed motion detecting switch here, and so whenever I don't move around enough, the light goes out. And sometimes that's really inconvenient. So Excuse me if I go over there every once in a while. Turn the light back on so I can see better. Let me see if I can see. I think there was another question I forgot. Yes, Kim Cluckers. Yes, these are great. There is a little bit of finessing to them. The cool thing about these versus getting the Food Saver brand things that that you can put over regular mouth and wide mouth mason jars is that these vacuum chambers will allow you to use any sort of food jar that has, just as long as it has clean gasket material and the rim of your glass jar is good, then you should be able to form a seal. But there is a just right. You can't put the lid on too tight. You can't put it on too loose in order for that to form a good seal. And I do have dogs in my family, so I apologize. That's just to make sure that I don't have any dog hairs on there. Hope you're not, and nobody's allergic, but I do try and make sure that none of that goes out in the package as I ship them out to you. Let me see. So other things I want to talk about. So I got my invitation to be a poll watcher again in California, and they actually called me. They called me last week to ask if I had received my notification on that. And at that point, I was still in Maryland for my daughter's graduation, and also I got to spend some time with family, and I also had to take care of getting a building ready to sell that we had my consignment store in for years. And then when we moved, we weren't able to sell it. We had it on the market for a little while, didn't sell, so we finally decided to rent it out. And now that renter who had rented the apartment as well as the building has decided she's getting married, which congratulations to her, that's wonderful, but she doesn't want to stay in renting the apartment. So then that puts us in a position of, all right, now we're not making enough money to pay all the bills associated with the building and with the taxes and everything. So we're putting it on the market again. It's actually going to be going up for auction. So I will put the link. As soon as I have that, I will share that with you because, hey, it is a great building. We just can't manage it from 2,500 miles away. But the apartment that we fixed that up, we actually lived in that apartment for 10 years. So we made it exactly how we wanted to live in it. It's got wood floors. It's got fairly new appliances, except the refrigerator is from 2010, but it still works great. It's a Samsung, really big. And then down below is a 3,000 square foot space that you could have a retail store in there. You could have service oriented. I also did my workshop from part of that building as well before we decided to move out here to California because it was becoming, my woodworking business was becoming more profitable than children's consignment. Suppose there's a number of reasons as to why that could be. I think part of it is that the demographics, there have been fewer children being born. Also, part of it is that I started a children's consignment shop when it was kind of hard to find ways to sell your stuff as well as ways to find inexpensive stuff for your child. Because when I first started in 2003, your main options were yard sales or thrift stores. And everything else came later, like being able to do eBay and Craigslist, and of course Facebook Marketplace. All those things played a factor into that. Really, the children's consignment in particular, wasn't doing quite as well. So we moved on from that, and now we are doing woodworking and making vacuum chambers to help people store their food for longer amounts of time. And so anyhow, about politics. So I'm going to be volunteering with the state again to be a poll watcher. And last time, I think I told you I was one of, I think, 4 that was assigned to a particular precinct. And this was my first time doing it. And when I got there, one of the people did not show. So then there were 3 of us there. And I got to tell you, we were very busy pretty much the entire time. And plus having 3 people there, it helped because we were there from 6 o'clock in the morning until about 10 o'clock at night. So being able to take a moment to use the restroom, to be able to get something to eat that my husband brought in, and the other people that were there, they had food that was brought some snacks. But having 3 people there allowed 2 people to be present at all times and 1 person to be able to take care of business or eat or whatever. The notice that I got yesterday, because it didn't come until yesterday, even though I was, they called me last week asking if I had received it. It didn't come in the mail until yesterday. I'm only going to be one of 2. There's going to be 2 people at a precinct in my small town all day from 6 a.m. to 9 or 10 p.m. whatever time we get done. And the other name that's on there is not one of the names that I worked with last time. So I do not know if this particular person is experienced or if they're brand new. I don't know. But we do all have to go through training before every election. So I'm going to definitely be paying as much attention as I can, trying to take notes and everything, because I may be the one that is the senior person in that particular case. But this is why I talked about the last time that I did this, and I've been talking every time I talk about the people picking process. I highly encourage people that you need to be involved. You need to volunteer to be a poll watcher, because if you don't like the situation that we have found ourselves in, but yet you're not going to volunteer your time to help out with this, then you're really kind of part of the problem, and nothing is going to get any better. You need to have multiple people there. I'm really disturbed that there's only 2 of us, because that means, I'm sorry, I'm a human being. You got to go to the bathroom every once in a while. So I just really don't know how you have integrity on this when there's an opportunity for shenanigans. I mean, if you don't have at least 2 people there, and they're also ideally supposed to be of different parties. So you don't have 2 people that are party A, and they all collude together to get rid of and suppress the vote of party B. So I don't like that at all. I don't know if it's too late to join in. So if you are in California, our primary is going to be June 7th. But if you are in California, check your local county. They may be able to put you in still. As I said, I think we are woefully understaffed. And I would definitely want to have another person on our situation in our precinct there. I think I saw another comment. I am trying to figure out how to get that information. Bear with me. I don't know what I'm doing. I thought before I just touched it and then it came back up. Live chat, all messages visible. Okay. Hey, Judy, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate you being there. All right. So anyhow, what I am doing, for those of you that are just joined in, I am multitasking because I've been away for quite a while. My daughter got graduated, and she started her new job in her major. She's going to be a social worker for a more rural county in Virginia, near where she went to school. And we went to her graduation from Liberty University, and I took then a few more days to spend with my family that live out in Maryland, and got a building ready for auction. It's a great building. I will, as soon as I know, I will put the link. So if you are in the Maryland area, or you've been thinking about, hey, you know what, I should really buy a building in Maryland, then you can take a look at that and hopefully make a bid on it. I don't know if you have to be there in person. Probably not. they'll probably take things online. But as soon as I know information about that, I will certainly share it because we are trying to get as much as we can for this building. It's a great building. It was built in 1924. It's 3,000 square feet on the main floor and another 1,300 square feet on the apartment. We also built a very large workshop in the back that is, I think it's a total of 1,900 square feet, both the main floor as well as there is an upstairs to it as well. So a lot of room, and it's tall enough that you could put a car lift in there and, you know, work on your car. We had a car lift in there. My husband loved doing that. He's not a mechanic. He's an engineer by trade, but he does like to do our own oil, you know, our own brakes, you know, changing out, you know, tires. Saves a lot of money over the years to have those skills, which, you know, in today's day and age, I highly recommend that you learn how to do as many of those things as you can on your own, because things are only going to get more expensive. And you know how to change your oil, then you know, that's that amount of money you're going to save. You know how to cut your husband's hair, which I've been doing since we got married. Actually, I think I started cutting his hair before we got married. You know, if he had to pay for all of that, that's like thousands and thousands of dollars that we would have been spending over the years. So it's another idea of how to save some money. Oh, another reason to change your own oil. I don't know if you heard, but I put a link in on my Facebook group that's called Sweet Home California. Find it and subscribe, or join that group. You don't have to subscribe, just join the group, and you'll see some of the articles that I find interesting. And this one particular article was such that, I think it's in Michigan, a car owner was being sued for $15 million because he dropped his car off to have the oil changed. The person who got behind the wheel, who was an employee of the dealership where he was getting his oil changed, was 19 years old, did not have a valid driver's license, and had no experience in driving a stick shift. And tragically, that 19-year-old, when he attempted to move the car, it leapt forward and it struck and killed a 42-year-old father that was also working at that dealership. Now, for some unknown reason in Michigan, you cannot sue your boss. And the state of the family that of the husband who died was bound by that as well, that the surviving family could not sue their loved one's boss. So instead, they're resorted to having to sue the owner of the vehicle that struck their loved one and killed him. Unfortunately, it's just terrible. Now, I believe that in this particular case, the judge has ruled basically that, okay, you can sue the car owner, but the dealership will be indemnifying that car owner. So basically, if the car owner is found at fault for whatever reason, that any legal fees and any settlement fees will be the responsibility of the dealership. Of course, the dealership wants to appeal that, but I can't even imagine being that car owner who wasn't even there, trusted that the person they gave the keys to was licensed and, you know, had things, you know, that the dealership had things covered. That's not anything that I ever would have thought to be a possibility that this could happen. So, so that is really terrible. So another way that you could benefit from knowing how to do your own oil changes is to avoid getting sued because your car was responsible for a tragedy, and then you get sued for something that totally completely could not possibly have been your fault. I was watching Economic Ninja earlier today, and one of his videos, I don't think he actually put it out today, it was earlier, he was talking about his side hustle of how he was selling tractors and palm trees. And you know, basically, you know, if you are in a situation where you can save some money and, you know, keep your powder dry, then when people need to sell things because they need to put food on the table and they need to sell their tractors and they need to sell their palm trees because they can't afford to water them, and in California that is always a possibility, then you can be in a position to prosper and to help others. So I would definitely recommend that as another way of uh, preparing for the future. And, you know, our economy is so uncertain. Our food supply is so uncertain. My goodness, our country cannot even keep formula on the shelves for our infants. They are instead confiscating imported formula. Apparently, some enterprising person decided, hey, look, we're going to go ahead and import from Europe, which in many cases, Europe has higher standards than America. You know, I could understand confiscating formula from China because I honestly do not trust a lot of what comes out of China, especially to put it in my body or in my child's body. But um, this was from Europe, and the FDA confiscated it because they said it didn't meet their standards. You know what? If my child is starving and I have no other means of feeding that child but through formula, I would rather have European formula than have no formula at all. Um, Now, here's some ideas on that. All right, so when I was a children's consignment owner, you know, we had a lot of customers who were involved with La Leche, were involved in, you know, being midwives, and so I got familiar with all the services that are out there. And did you know that even if you thought, all right, well, I'm going to use formula instead of breastfeed because I got to go back to work, and you know the whole pumping thing, it does take a lot of time. I was blessed when I was nursing my daughter that my company allowed me time to pump while I was at work, so that I could continue on with that. You know, for 18 months, I think my daughter was breastfed, but that's not possible for everyone, and some women do have trouble with breastfeeding. Contact your local La Leche League. A lot of women will help out for very low rates. There are some that are even volunteers that will do it for free for you to get you making sure that your milk production is as much as possible. It is also possible that you can restart your milk if you've got an infant and you allowed it to dry. And there are apparently, I don't know this personally, but from what I've been reading online, that there are ways to get your blood supply pumping again, your milk supply pumping again. And in this situation where we don't, you know, apparently they're going to allow Abbott to start making formula again, but they said that it could still possibly be a month or more before it really gets into the stores. So it's essential. I mean, obviously, babies are not going to wait for months to get fed. So my suggestion is, if at all possible that you are capable of breastfeeding, even if you thought that you're all dried up and you can't at this point, see your La Leche League, see if that's a possibility for you. There are some situations where infants cannot metabolize breast milk, that there is a problem, that they have allergies, and that is what that formula is even more critical for. So please, if your child does not need the formula, please don't buy it. Please allow that to stay on the shelves for the infants that cannot do any other alternative. For those that can do breast milk, there are also a number of women who they find that they've just pumped so much that they can give it to others. It's basically modern wet nursing, that they're not doing it personally. They just pump the extra milk, they put it in freezers, and then they donate that to women who are in need that can't produce their own milk, or they're having problems producing enough for their child. So, you know, check again. La Leche League is going to be a good point person for finding access to that, so that your child can be fed and you don't have to depend on formula, and then that formula can be saved for those infants that absolutely have no other option to be able to be healthy. So please consider that as well. Um, I've seen some comments in the, floating by here. Anybody have any experience with La Leche League? Let me know. Let me see all the chats here. Kim, I appreciate your comments, and Rose too. I appreciate all your comments. My very small township always has the same Democrats working the polls. Kim, join them. Then it'll be 7 Democrats and 1 Republican, right? Or conservative. I'm not sure if you. Honestly, I hate. There's so many things about the Republican Party that I can understand not wanting to be called a Republican. I am registered Republican, but I got to tell you, I'm not too happy with those that represent me that call themselves Republican, but I'm definitely not Democrat. I am going to go and see my Republican assemblyman for the state of California on Friday. His name is Tom Lackey. I know, it's a very unfortunate name. But I've heard from my conservative neighbors that he really is a good guy and that his heart is in the right place. Unfortunately, Republicans in the state of California really can't affect much change because it is a supermajority. All the Republicans could stay home and they would still have enough in both chambers of the state legislature to get done everything they want to get done. But anyhow, Tom Lackey is going to be having a town hall in my town here, and so I'm going to go and participate in that. I don't know if I'll be able to live stream it or not, but I am definitely interested in meeting him in person. I am almost done here, so any other questions for me to cover? Because as soon as I'm done with the last lid here, putting this on, then I've got to go make noise, so I can't really live stream and do my next step at the same time. So, anybody out there? I got 7 viewers. Appreciate you all being out there. Any other questions? Anybody else out there a poll worker for their state? Let me know what state you've participated in and how things worked. Kim, for instance, with you said there's 7 people. Was that at one precinct? Was it? You said it was a small town. We've got about 18,000 in this town, and I think it's 4 different precincts. And even before our current pandemic, they more rural areas like my area where I live, my entire neighborhood was set as permanent mail-in. So even before this, we were permanent mail-in, and we did not have a precinct that we could go and vote in person. We were always expected to do a mail-in, which is terrible because I can't tell you how many times my neighbors have said that they didn't get their ballot. They would have to ask for another one. Well, what happened to the first one? I don't know. For those of you, if you haven't had a chance yet to see Dinesh's movie, I think it's called 2,000 Donkeys or something like that. 2,000 Donkeys. We'll go with that just because I'm not sure really what the algorithm is saying about it, and I want to make sure this gets out there. But yeah, it's really important to be involved in the counting process because I think it was Lennon who said it doesn't really matter about who is voting. It matters is who is counting the voting. So make sure you are a part of it and bring your integrity and your eyes and just being present, letting people know that you are there to make sure that things are being followed. I's dotted, T's crossed will help ensure that shenanigans don't happen. So I hope that those of you out there, that primaries are still later on in the year, check with your county, see if you can participate in that. And even though I keep saying volunteering for being a poll watcher, they do give you some money. It's not much, considering that you're there for, what is 6 to 10? That's 12 hours. Is that 16 hours? Yeah, it's a lot of time. They did give me $110. So I got $110 for that, which is, I think the minimum wage here in California now is like something like $15. So it isn't even close to that. Not even the federal minimum wage, but it's something. And the important thing though is that it's an extra pair of eyes on there. And there's no way we can ever go back to mandating in-person voting if we don't have people volunteering for it. So please, 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 please volunteer. Please be a part of this. And this is my last one. So I'm going to check one last time, see if there's any other questions that I might have missed out there. See, our administration is not for we the people. Not all. Yeah, I agree. Homemade formula and a little work, but it's easy. Yes, those things though. I know that there's been a number of formulas out there involving like goat's milk and condensed milk and things like that. Please make sure that you do any of that in consultation with your doctor, okay? Just to be on the safe side. But you know, mother's breast milk from another mom that's done with it, probably going to be a good solution. Talk with a La Leche League consultant, and they'll be able to help you out as well. Anyhow, I really appreciate the time you all have spent with me while I am trying to multitask here. I hope I've added some things for you to think on and hopefully benefit you. But anyhow, I'll catch you next time. God bless.